So today I'm talking about homosexuality in the DSM and kind of why it got removed from the DSM and kind of the history behind it. So in the early 19th century, being a homosexual was actually considered illegal and was considered a crime. Your punishment for that followed the Old Testament. So the Old Testament stated that if you were a homosexual or engaged in homosexual acts, that you would be punished by death. If people saw you acting in such a way with same sex, it was considered unnatural, against nature, sodomy, and perjury. Then we go into the late 19th century where it was actually considered a mental illness. So when people were being tried for these crimes, someone brought up, is it actually constitutional defect or is it a mental illness? So a big thing that happened in history was the Stonewall riot. It happened on June 28, 1969. Policemen entered the Stonewall Inn and started removing patrons and neighboring people. And the Stonewall was a gay bar, and since it was considered illegal, they went in and started taking people out. And a fun fact that I found, well, it's not a fun fact, but an interesting fact that I found is that out of these people that they were bringing out, 13 were arrested because they did not have 3 or more clothing articles that pertain to their gender. So if you're wearing, if a girl was wearing less than 3 girly outfits, she was arrested. Same for a guy. And then this happened in New York City. In a result, it caused violent protests and violent clashes with law enforcement for the next few days. And hopefully it works.
New York City's Stonewall Inn became a national monument today. On daily reports, it is a place of pride
you guys can't
where
see it.
blood and tears have been
Dang it.
shed.
I got you guys. Give me some. Sorry, guys.
New York City's Stonewall Inn became a national monument today. On daily reports, it is a place of pride where blood and tears have been shed.
In 1960s America, it was illegal to be homosexual. Police raids on gay bars were common. But on the night of June 28, 1969, gay residents of Greenwich Village decided they'd had enough, and they took a stand at the Stonewall Inn, fighting back against police. The violence led to days of protests, ultimately igniting the gay rights movement.
It took 47 years, but the historical importance of what happened in this tiny Manhattan neighborhood has finally received federal recognition.
And now I'm going to take you on a little journey back in time.
68-year-old Tommy Lanigan Schmidt spoke at today's monument unveiling. He was 21 when he took part in the riots in '69.
It makes me very happy to be here, and I think it means even more to newer generations because they have something through.
Okay, so that was just a little more explanation of what happened in the Stonewall riot, and it is, it played a huge part in how homosexuality is viewed today, gay prides and stuff like that that are going on. It was kind of the start for the movement for that. I also found a study. Evelyn Hooker, maiden name Gentry, was born September 2nd, 1907 in North Platte, Nebraska. She earned her bachelor's degree and master's at the University of Colorado, and she wanted to earn her doctorate at Yale. However, the chair for the University of Colorado was still in the time where he didn't want to recommend a woman to his alma mater. So she then earned her doctorates at Johns Hopkins in 1992. She applied for the National Institute of Mental Health grant. There's speculation because of the study she wanted to study gay men, or not gay men, but the correlation between homosexuality and mental illness. So there was kind of a dispute about that, but they ultimately gave her the grant, and she studied the homosexuality mental illness, like I said. So she recruited 30 homosexual males, and this was easier for her just because she had a gay friend and he introduced her to more gay people. It was harder for her to get heterosexual males that would willingly participate in the study. So she recruited 30 homosexual males and 30 heterosexual males, and they were all similar in age, IQ scores, and their education levels. And however, she wanted to do this on the UCLA campus, however, she could not because of the views on homosexuality. So she actually tested it on like a little property that on her estate. So then she took each participant took 3 tests. The something. The make a picture story test, maps, and the thematic appreciation test. And she was looking at the correlation between the homosexuality and mental illness. So after these people took these tests, they were sent to like experts in those test fields, and to see if they could decipher who was heterosexual and who was homosexual, because she put it she put it all scrambled together. She didn't make it so it was either or. And each expert stated that they could tell who was homosexual and who was not, however they couldn't. So that was interesting. Freud had a view on homosexuality. He said he stated that everyone was born bisexual, and through your experiences and the way you interacted in life determined whether you went heterosexual or homosexual. However, he didn't agree that it was based on pathology. He wrote a letter to a mother in 1935 because her son is homosexual. Basically explains that there's nothing to be ashamed of, and that he could live his life happy. So then all of this started the removal of homosexuality in the DSM by viewing the empirical data and the changing over time. There was a diagnosis of ego-dystonic homosexuality. However, in 1986, it was completely out of the DSM. So I want to leave you with a question. Is homosexuality a mental illness, or is it a way of life? Questions? Comments, concerns?
What about like those 3 tests? Like what about them? Like were experts supposed to see? Like how could they see if they were homosexual or heterosexual?
So like what did the test,
Yeah,
like
what-
were they tested on?
Yeah.
Okay, so they were tested on like their fears and their anxiety and different experiences that they had, and based on their answers, the experts in those tests were supposed to tell if they were homosexual or heterosexual.
Based on the headlines and whatnot going on, do you think the removal of homosexuality from the DSM has actually made a great impact on the way like we view each other?
So doing this research, there were people that were very upset that it was removed from the DSM because they're hard set in their ways, I guess. As for a society standpoint, I feel like people are more open-minded to people who are homosexual, and we've made a lot of progress to where we are today. Oh, jeez. In the back.
Jen, after doing all this research, has your own personal answer to this question changed in any way, or?
Not really. So the main reason why I like this is my sister is homosexual. So I'm pretty open-minded. I really don't have any questions. Oh, awesome. Good answer. Okay, cool. Anything else?